In the summer of 1666, London was a crowded, noisy, and vulnerable city. Just 1 week before the Great Fire, daily life continued as usual, unaware of the disaster to come. London streets were narrow and packed with timber-frame houses that leaned over the roads. Many buildings had upper floors that almost touched across the street. Open drains ran along the roads, and the smell of waste mixed with smoke from cooking fires and workshops. The River Thames was the heart of the city. Barges carried coal, food, wine, and building materials. Fishermen, merchants, and dockworkers filled the riverbanks from dawn until nightfall. Small boats constantly crossed the river, as bridges were few. Markets such as Cheapside and Smithfield were busy from early morning. Vendors sold bread, meat, vegetables, spices, and cloth. Prices were high due to recent wars and trade disruptions, and many poor families struggled to survive. Most people worked long hours. Apprentices learned trades like blacksmithing, baking, and carpentry. Women managed households, sold goods, or worked as servants. Children often worked from a young age. Fire was part of everyday life. Candles, hearths, kilns, and forges burned constantly. Firefighting methods were primitive, relying on buckets, hand pumps, and parish watchmen. A long, dry summer had left the city dangerously dry. Social life centered around taverns, churches, and coffee houses, where news, gossip, and politics were discussed. King Charles II ruled England, and London was still recovering from the Great Plague of 1665. No one in London imagined that within days, a small bakery fire on Pudding Lane would destroy most of the city, changing its history forever. As night fell over London, the city glowed with thousands of small flames. Candles flickered behind wooden shutters, hearth fires crackled, and taverns spilled warm light onto the streets. Bells told the late hour as watchmen patrolled, calling out the time and the weather. Past 11 o'clock, and all is well. But all was not well. The air was dry, the wood older than memory, and the wind restless. Every house, every shop, every warehouse was a spark waiting for a moment. London did not sleep easily. Rats scurried through alleys, carts creaked in the dark, and ships knocked gently against the wharves along the Thames. In a small bakery on Pudding Lane, embers glowed low inside an oven. Bread had been baked, shutters closed, and the family upstairs drifted into sleep. No one noticed the heat building, the wood drying, the flames searching for breath. At dawn, church bells would ring as usual. Merchants would open their stalls. Children would run through the streets. Life would begin again, unaware that this would be the last normal morning many Londoners would ever know. Within hours, fire would leap from house to house, driven by wind and fear. Narrow streets would become chimneys. The river would reflect a city burning. Stone would crack, iron would melt, and thousands would flee with only what they could carry. But on this night, the night before history changed, London was still standing. As dawn broke over the Thames, the city began to stir. Smoke from countless chimneys drifted into the pale morning sky. Street hawkers shouted their wares, loaves of bread, fresh fish, colourful cloth, and the clang of blacksmiths' hammers echoed from the alleys. Life went on as it always had, vibrant and chaotic, yet fragile. In the narrow lanes, neighbours exchanged greetings and gossip, unaware of the disaster lurking just around the corner. Children chased each other through the dusty streets, their laughter mingling with the distant calls of river barges. For the people of London, today seemed ordinary, a day like any other. But beneath the city's rhythm, a tension lingered. The summer had been unusually dry, and the wooden houses, stacked tightly together, were tinder waiting for a spark. Even the slightest mistake, a knocked-over lantern, a smouldering oven, could awaken a fury that no one could contain. Meanwhile, life continued in quieter corners. In a small bakery on Pudding Lane, the baker's family went about their morning chores, unaware that their oven would soon ignite the flames that would consume their city. Across the river, merchants prepared their goods, sailors checked their vessels, and artisans polished their tools. London was alive, yet oblivious to the coming nightmare. This was the city on the brink, its streets full of colour, its people full of life, its heart unknowingly standing over a volcano of fire. Within hours, every alley, every home, every church would be tested, and London would never be the same again. One of the most tragic events in London's history happened in 1666. The Great Fire of London. The fire started in a small bakery on Pudding Lane and spread rapidly because most of the city's buildings were made of wood and tightly packed together. In just 4 days, the fire destroyed over 13,000 houses, 87 churches, and many important buildings, leaving tens of thousands of people homeless. Despite the massive destruction, surprisingly few deaths were officially recorded. The tragedy was made worse by the lack of firefighting tools and the narrow streets that made escape difficult. Smoke and flames filled the air, and people fled with only what they could carry. The city was left in ruins, but it also led to modern fire regulations, better building materials, and a complete rebuilding of London. The Great Fire of 1666 is remembered as both a tragic loss and a turning point in London's history, showing how disaster can reshape a city forever. Voiceover script: The Great Fire of London, 1666. It began with a single spark. A quiet street. A sleeping city. No warnings. By morning, London was burning. Fire ran faster than footsteps. Faster than fear. The wind carried death across the rooftops. People ran. Not forward. Not back. Just away. Homes fell. Churches collapsed. Even stone could not stand. For 3 days. The city screamed. And then, silence. Ash covered everything. Dreams. Memories. Lives. But London did not disappear. From the ruins, hands rose. From the ashes, hope returned. Brick by brick. Street by street. London was reborn. The Great Fire did not end the city. It changed it. Forever. Voiceover script: After the flames. When the fire stopped, London listened. To the crackle of dying embers. To the wind moving through empty streets. To the sound of survival. Nothing looked the same. Nothing was the same. Names were gone. Streets erased. Lives reduced to memory. Yet in the ruins, people stood. They did not ask why. They asked how to begin again. The fire had taken homes, but not courage. It had erased walls, but not will. And so London rose. Not in wood, but in stone. Not in fear, but in strength. The Great Fire burned for 3 days. But its lesson burned forever. Because a city is not its buildings. A city is its people. London, 1666. A city of nearly 500,000 people. One of the largest cities in Europe. Built mostly of wood. Crowded. Dry. Dangerously unprepared. The streets are narrow, so narrow that neighbors can shake hands from opposite windows. Houses rise several stories high, their upper floors leaning inward. Beneath them, open sewers flow slowly toward the Thames. Fire is everywhere, used for cooking, heating, light, but safety is almost non-existent. On the night of September 2nd, in a small bakery on Pudding Lane, a fire begins. At first, it seems ordinary. Fires are common in London. But this one finds perfect conditions. Strong winds. Dry timber. Closely packed homes. By the time people realize the danger, flames are already climbing the buildings. The fire spreads with terrifying speed. Wooden houses ignite like torches. Burning embers are lifted into the air and drop streets away, starting new fires faster than anyone can stop them. Buckets of water are useless. Hand pumps fail. Panic spreads. By morning, London is burning. Church bells ring desperately, first as warnings, then as cries for help, until towers collapse and silence them forever. Entire neighborhoods vanish within hours. People run carrying whatever they can: children, clothing, family treasures, leaving everything else behind. The Thames becomes an escape route. Boats fill with refugees. Some watch their homes burn from the water, powerless to do anything but remember. Rumors spread through the smoke. Some claim the fire is God's punishment. Others accuse foreigners of arson. Fear turns into violence. Innocent people are attacked. By the second day, the fire is unstoppable. St. Paul's Cathedral, one of the greatest buildings in England, is thought to be safe. Its stone walls have survived fires before. But this fire is different. Scaffolding around the cathedral catches first. Soon, the interior becomes a furnace. The lead roof melts and flows into the streets like liquid silver. Medieval London is dying. King Charles II finally takes control. He orders desperate measures. Buildings are blown up with gunpowder to create firebreaks. Streets are destroyed on purpose to save what remains. The explosions echo through the city. On the third day, the wind weakens. Slowly, painfully, the fire begins to die. When it ends, over 13,000 houses are gone. 87 churches destroyed. More than 100,000 people left homeless. And yet, remarkably, very few deaths are officially recorded. London stands in ruins, but it still stands. In the weeks that follow, survivors sleep in tents and open fields. Hunger spreads. Disease threatens. But rebuilding begins almost immediately. Plans are drawn for a new London, one with wider streets, brick buildings, and stronger laws. The Great Fire changes everything. Fire insurance is created. Professional fire brigades are formed. Building regulations are enforced. From disaster comes reform. St. Paul's Cathedral will rise again, larger, stronger, more magnificent than before. The city rebuilds not as it was, but as it must be. The Great Fire of 1666 burned for only 3 days. But it reshaped London forever. It ended the medieval city and gave birth to the modern one. This is not just the story of fire. It is the story of survival, of resilience, of a city that refused to disappear. London burned. London fell. And London rose again.